The first reading I'll be doing is on page 7 if you want to get your prayer books, but we begin with a nigun, a wordless melody. Just breathe in the positive energy. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome back, Miranda Mower. Nice to have you. I'm going to be talking about kindness later. So I want you to turn to someone near you and say something kind that you did or you received this week. And if you can't think of anything, then just saying hello to someone is a kind thing. So just say hi to your neighbor, tell them something kind. What about you? Anything kind? What? We need the thing. I was a recipient of kindness. Mike finished the book. I've seen pictures. So please bring yourselves back to the service. So the question is, where has this week vanished? Page 7. Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this Shabbat, abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat, abide. At this point, it's my honor to call upon our president, Leslie Berger, to share some announcements.
Shabbat, is this one on? Shabbat Shalom. A little louder.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, much better. And I got it. I've had a week. My name is Leslie Berger, president of TBO. Tonight is the official welcome to Rabbi Lynn Muroff to TBO. Welcome. Thank you to the membership and religious committee for cooking and preparing the food for tonight. It was really yummy. You should have received your high holiday packet this week. And in the packet, if you open the envelope, there is a ticket. The ticket is good for all services, but you must bring your ticket with you. The Sisterhood Dine Out this week has been canceled due to unforeseen circumstances, to let you know, so we're not going to CBK, maybe another time. And if you didn't get your ticket, please contact Dina Jastroff or Scott Swern and to find out. As Rabbi said, Torah study is next Saturday on August 26th in person and on Zoom. And we have a potluck lunch to follow, and that only will be in person. So if you want to eat, you have to come. Next Sunday is Sisterhood Paid Up Membership Brunch. Breakfast at Tiffany's theme, wear your little black dress and pearls. RSVP on our website until this Sunday. It's all fixed now, so you should be able to easily RSVP. Welcome back to our guest cantor, Miranda Mower, and a special welcome to Rabbi Lynn's partner, Judy. Thank you to Rabbi Lynn and cantor Miranda for leading services tonight, and Dr. Ray for the music. Thanks to our tech team, Phil Carey, David Youngman, and Chris Jastrock. And thanks to our ushers, Jody and Tim Green. The emergency exits are through the double doors on the right, your left, and on the door behind where David is sitting, that door is supposed to be open, on the Santa Gertrudis side. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, and the Shabbat greetings are, I didn't get that email, Jeff and Wilma Shear, Ted and Noel Singer, and Rita and Bob Rubin. And Jeff and Wilma are still here, or no? No, they're not here. But thank you all who support our simple fundraiser. We could do it, it's only $18 a week, and you get your name in lights. And thank you to the Religious and Membership Committee, who has sponsored the flowers tonight in honor of Rabbi Muroff, and are also sponsoring the Onik tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Thank you,
shalom.
Leslie. Thank you to all those people. And there are giving opportunities for the high holidays. There are different ways to participate in beautifying the sanctuary. Excuse me, we now continue with a new song called Shabbat Shalom.
Join me. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
We turn to page 15 for an interpretation, a beautiful version of this psalm written by Julie Silver.
Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir Hadash. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir Hadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai Kol Haaretz. Shiru Adonai Shir Hadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
So to show God and Shabbat that we really care, we're going to turn to page 24 for Shalom Aleichem, because we want to match our actions with the beautiful words that Miranda's saying. Shalom Aleichem is how we greet the Sabbath bride, with respect and love. Shalom Aleichem, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi
Barry and Shelby could come forward, that would be ideal. If everyone else can rise for the lighting of the candles. The reading will be over there. It's the reading on page 3.
Okay, start here. Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the word we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen. Thank you. We continue with Dr. Ray and Miranda leading us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Please be seated. So I want to explain that kindness is in the air and in my remarks because of a project that we're involved in as a synagogue. We're part of a larger effort to bring comfort to friends of mine whose son died in a tragic boating accident 4 or 5 years ago. And so during the time of the year when it's his yahrzeit, which just started today, from now until about the 7th of September, we're going to be involved in acts of kindness. Last year, the day before I was diagnosed with COVID, I brought pre-wrapped bagels to the fire department in West Hollywood, and they posed for a nice picture. This week, Art and Ted did lots of repairs around the synagogue. So in real life, my better half is Judy, but at the synagogue, my better half is Debbie. And Debbie said, we should get a picture of them. So we did, and they posed very dramatically and poignantly. And then I posted it to the site on Facebook for Giddy Magic, Giddy's Kindness Project, so that as the parents see that during this 2-week period, people are doing good deeds, to sort of bring out the best of the attributes that their almost 5-year-old had, it brings some comfort. And obviously, it's a way to bring light, sunshine, goodwill into the world during a really tumultuous time in our lives, and clearly in particular in theirs. So Debbie made a copy of different ways to bring kindness. Let me just read a couple. You can leave flowers at a stranger's door. Or it could be someone you know that needs a pick-me-up. So you leave them and then you call them and say, oh, how are you? Anyway, whatever you want to do, but it's just to bring flowers. Bring food to an unhoused person that you pass every day. Make sandwiches or cookies for your local firefighters. And there are projects around the county, and if you want, and we've been talking about doing this, is making sandwiches on a Friday, Saturday, and then there's some drop-off places, and then they're all collected and given out to unhoused people. So if you like PB&J, we might make a bunch of sandwiches together. This is a big one. Pay for coffee, the coffee of the person behind you. Pick up trash wherever you go. I'll go right to the end. Offer to watch a friend's child for the day so they could have some downtime. Take in your neighbor's trash cans, or make a donation to the cause that works for you and mention Giddy Zilberstein. I think we don't have, there's no shortage of good people, but the way the family in this case is going to be comforted and for our society to be enriched is to just try to add a little bit of kindness. These flyers are in the lobby, and the individual cards to the credit of the Social Action Committee, and also, I forget the acronym, you'll tell me later, and Debbie, they got right on it, they agreed, so these cards are in the social hall and also on the table outside. So please grab some. I have some in my wallet all year long. Even though I don't do it after the end of the period, it just reminds me to try to do some nice things when otherwise I might have rationalized as being too busy to do it. Thank you. We continue with Lecha Dodi, stanzas 1, 2, 8, and 9, pages 20 through 21.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 pene Shabbat nekabe, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 pene Shabbat nekabela, shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, hishmi'anu el hamilchad, Adonai echad u'shmo Leshem ultiferet velitila, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 pene Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekorcha beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 pene Shabbat nekabela, yamim u'smol tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi al yadish ben partzi venismecha venagila, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat kala, ya la 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 pene Shabbat nekabela. בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, איי לי לי, יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. I'll try to read slowly because I'm going to be asking you to stand soon. Page 170. May my life be one link in a chain of goodness. As I say the prayers of my ancestors, help me to recall their devotion and faithfulness, their joy and suffering which are in every word. Holiness is my heritage. May I be worthy of it. May our tradition live in me and pass from me to generations I shall never know, enriched by the truth that I have found in the good deeds I have done. So may I fulfill my task on earth and receive my blessing. And when the service ends and the prayers have ceased, help me to bring their spirit into the world in which I live. May I love God above all and my neighbor as myself, and be a living witness to the truth that never changes. So you ready for the evening service? Because this has just been a warm-up. How are people doing? Are we okay? Should we re-sing any of the songs they sang already? No? Okay. Then shake out whatever ickies are still left. Maybe stretch when you stand up for the next prayer if you ate too many burgers. And we rise for the Baruch Hu, page 28. You may be seated. So there are two prayers between the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, and the statement of belief in God. Let's look at the one on page 30. And there it will become abundantly clear that the theme of this evening's service is creation. The very three pillars that Judaism stands on are creation, revelation of Mount Sinai, creation, redemption from Egypt, and revelation of Mount Sinai. Each one is needed, and each couldn't have occurred before the one before it. And each Shabbat service has prayers reflecting those themes in order. So because I got confused, let's say it again. Creation, redemption, and revelation. So all are necessary. Creation means we recognize God. We don't talk about God a lot. We're going to find a way. I have a nice course with a good book by two great Reform rabbis, Rifat Sansino and Danny Syme, called Finding God. So we talk about God however we understand God, and that's the first prayer. The next prayer, in the middle of page 32, helps us understand what our relationship with God is So then we have a good role model for our human relationships. And what does the end of that blessing say? Praised are you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Because God doesn't want us to be in relationship with just his amazing being that created the world, because it's not a subservient relationship. Clearly, we're connected to God. We're not equals. But like in our synagogue, leadership and the rabbi don't do everything on their own. The plan that we lay out, the same way that God laid out a plan, is one that requires that God show kind and loving energy towards the Israelites. And that's what's stressed. Praise to Adonai who loves your people Israel. Because the only way to get the Israelites to be involved in this relationship, like in human relationships, is to be shown love. And what we do in our world, outside these walls, but also inside, is to participate in mitzvot, good deeds, commandments, however you understand it. That's how God's love gets into the world. So then it's reciprocal. We're all doing good works. And it's the way that God gets into the world, right? Because you can't just say, okay, God, I believe that you're going to do everything and I can be whatever I want because you're just going to make the world beautiful. We're God's partners. And we are encouraged to be involved in relationship with God because as the Siddur and the Torah outline, God is full of loving acts so that we don't have to wait to have God's presence in our lives confirmed. We have to go in believing that however we understand God, there are loving ways that we have been enriched because of that relationship. More on that on a Random Tuesday coming up. But I wanted just to help us see that these aren't just beautiful songs that Miranda's singing with Dr. Ray's accompaniment, but they are focusing on key themes of what it means to be a Jew. Page 30. You want to read with me? Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Ma'ariv Aravim. So now we don't have to be afraid of God because, wow, that was pretty mind-blowing that God created a whole world from nothing. So we say, wow, you offered us love. You're not scaring us. Saying, wow, this is good. So that's what it says. Middle of 32. Then I will ask you to rise. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. And like when you have guests come over, you get up, you stand as they arrive and say, thank you, we're so happy you're here. So that's what we're doing now. We're saying, thank you, God, for giving us this beautiful community. So we rise to express our love and belief in God. Page 34. Adonai We turn to the Ahavta. Miranda will lead us. Page, I didn't put in the outline, but it's always the same page. It's page 36.
Please join me. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצוותך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוציא אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לעולים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We don't only show our love to God through action of a good deed nature, we show it through the arts. And the dancing that was done by Miriam and the women who sang beautifully is what's reflected in the next prayer. That's the Mi Kamocha, page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. יאי לי לי, יאי לה 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 לה, יאי לי לי לה 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 לה, יאי לי לי.
Adonai Gal Yisrael. Page 42. We thank God for a peaceful feeling at the end of the day. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ushmor tziteinu Malkeinu l'chaim.
public service announcement. Because a hurricane, which will be a tropical storm when it gets to us, is coming, I encourage you to have water. That's the first part. My daughter who lives in the south reminded me, lots of water, canned food, because I joked with her that I would get takeout a little earlier than usual on a Sunday. She said that's really not an option. The lights may go out, so you need candles. If there's anyone in the community that needs help with any of those, a few of us will be in the region on Sunday, and we'd be happy to go out and buy flashlights, some canned food, and remember to have a non-electric can opener. So please, and also related to that, some of the men put in a motion censored water, not even a fountain water, filterized water. And all you do is you put your permanent item here and you put it in, take the top off, water comes in, but it turns off when you move it. So we want to move away from having plastic bottles in the building. So please choose the permanent bottle of your choice, which you probably already own. Bring it to synagogue. You can drink at services. So if someone asks you, what did the rabbi say? He said, you can drink water at services, but please. Page 42. And to the people I was sitting with, see how silly I am without wine. So it's a good thing I didn't have. The middle, page 42, please read with me. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming, and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Please rise for Vishamru. It's found on page 44.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doratom berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doratom berit olam. B'nei B'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doratam berit olam. Ki sheshet yomim Asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doratam berit olam. U'vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doratom berit olam.
Please remain standing, but sit if you can't stand. Page 46, we ask God for help in finding the correct words in prayer. Page 46. Page 48, the beginning of the Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Onora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'socher Chasadim Echot v'Imorot, U'mevii Geula Livnehem, Leman Shemo ve'Ahava, Melech Hozer u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחלל חיים בחסד, מחיית מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, ישנה עפר, מחמוך בגבורות, ומדמך, מלך מביט ומחייך, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחייך הכל.
You may be seated. But we keep going. Atah kadosh
בשמך קדוש, קדושים בכל יום יחולו סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Now you may be seated. Page 54, 55, and 56, and 58 will be done by the Rabbi. So let's turn to those pages. Top of 50, hang on. Yeah, 54, the middle of the page. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day from all work that God had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy and ceased from all the creative work that God had chosen to do. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Now, page 55, may these hours... Oh, we're going to do find favor, because I can't find may these hours. Find favor, page 56. Actually, hang on, I skipped a page. Yes, it was in the order I said it. Now we're on 55. May these hours of rest and renewal Open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. And now the prayer, find favor, the top of 56. Find favor, Adonai, our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer, our prayer, in love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your Spirit upon us. And at the bottom of the page, let our eyes behold your loving return to Zion. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose presence returns to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai ha-machazir shechinato l'Tzion. I know I like a lot of digressions. I won't go too long on this one. In the middle of 56, you see there's an extra paragraph for Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is the new moon. The last 2 days have been the observance of Rosh Chodesh of the month of Elul, and this is our last month before Rosh Hashanah. So it's important that we engage in the work of Elul. A friend put on social media yesterday, no social media for the whole month, because I need to be in the real world and talk to the people I've hurt and try to make things right. I need to think about my behavior, and that's really what Elul is about. Because the same way you can't come in and walk in off the street and lead a service, you have to prepare, put time in. You can't play the way Dr. Ray does just by getting, a present for Hanukkah or Christmas and right away being as excellent at it as he is. It's the same thing with getting our hearts right and coming into synagogue on the eve of Rosh Hashanah. So that was a reminder to me that we all have work to do. Page 58, we acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God and God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you, that is God, and praise you, God, for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. Baruch atah Adonai. It's the last line on the bottom of the page. Hatov shimcha chana'eh lehodot. Now we're back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is Shalom Rav. Page 60, Jeff Klepper, in the voice of Miranda Mower.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. V'tov be'enecha levarech et amecha Yisrael bechol to the whole shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim
Dr. A, Miranda, and the Carries who are watching from Washington. We're going to skip my teaching because I think we have a nice vibe going. I'd like to do the Mishaberach right now, and then after that beautiful, important prayer, then we'll go to me. So the Mishaberach is always necessary because we don't want to feel when we're having a tough time emotionally, spiritually, or physically, or maybe some combination of the above, to feel like we're going through that alone. That's the purpose of being here tonight. So even in the best of times, it's good to look around and see people you know and love, people you might not know yet, who will be friends, but also to know that while you're sitting here, you're enveloped in the love of your community. So we are going to do the Mishaberach. I have a list of the people whose names have been forwarded or have been added by anyone who knows me, and then I write them down. So if there are people you'd like to add, it could be yourself, and so you don't have to say the name, but it could also be something you just think about as I'm reading these names. So as is our custom, the Mishaberach, which is found on page 253, will be sung in the first half, then I'll add the names. After I finish this printed list, though I won't be reading the names this week off of the screen in the sanctuary, I still invite the people that are watching at home to put the names of their loved ones who need prayer in the chat. And after I read these, I'll move my hand as I've been doing each week and invite you to say names. I'm not going to be able to repeat them all because I think there are just a lot of names, and it's just so people near you can hear them, so you know that it's not only inside you. 253, Mishaberach. Comfort for Betty Maddock, Janice Frank Weinstein, Rachel Witt, Don Witt, Joseph Glazer, Jesse Schneider Glazer, Marcia Maton, Bracha Bat Leah, Harav Eliezer Ben Sion Ben Chaya Golda, that's a professor of mine from school, Laura Block, Robin Smith, Lori Wiesel, and Fran Strauss. Are there any people here that have a name to add? I have this new toy, the lavalier, so I can move away from the mic. So anybody here? Okay, thank you. Keep sharing the names. Okay, this section. Okay, anyone further back on this section? In the middle? Anyone left? Just call out the name. Yes. Thank you. Dina? Yes, I can't pronounce the name properly, but the people in the corner of Maui, Lahaina, whose lives are upside down. We pray for the families of those who died. I think we're up to 1,100. No, excuse me, 101, 1,100 are still missing. Anybody else in this section? Thank you. And anyone else in our lives? Oh, and this week the number was released that on both sides in Ukraine there have been about 500,000 people that have died. We continue with the second half of Mishaberach.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal
167, if you're still able. Yehiyu leratzon. Thank you. It feels like I've said the gist of what I wanted to say about kindness, but I'm still going to say a little bit more. I wanted to introduce you to my grandfather, Menashe Greenberg. I almost sent a picture to the production crowd, and I will. In that picture, he was standing with my bubby, his wife, my grandmother. It was the day of my bar mitzvah. No, I think it was my oldest cousin's. And they were dressed up, looking so in love. But unlike my life, which though I moved, as I explained to the people we sat with tonight, I just moved a few cities in Canada as my dad worked his way to the head office, then to New York. What was me? My Zeta had to move, as you'll see, from the old country during a pogrom. And I wanted you to learn about him because recently, my youngest, I have all of two first cousins, my youngest cousin said, oh, before our rabbi died, he gave me a copy of the eulogy he did at Zeta's funeral. So I sent it around to people, and I wanted you to see him as an example of some of the themes that we've been talking about. Because I didn't know all of this, and it was really very sweet what the rabbi said. And I'm sharing about him not only because of the traits he exhibited, but because you're here to unofficially welcome me, and I wanted you to know a little bit about how I became who I am. And here you go. My grandfather, Menashe Greenberg, and we never called him grandfather, my Zeta, I believe he had the greatest impact on who I am as a person and as an involved Jewish individual. He came to Canada, where I was raised, when he was 25. And I think about how his life is different in his first 25 than the lives of my kids who are now 26 and 29. It's just amazing what he had to endure. He was born and raised in the city of Vinnytsia, which is a city in western Ukraine, located on the banks of the the encyclopedia said Bug. It's a body of water. It's equidistant between Kyiv and Odessa. My Zeta was fortunate after the fighting started that his older sister Molly, my cousin Mark, who I am still in touch with, his grandmother and my grandfather were brother and sister, and Molly had left before my Zeta, and she was in Canada and able to give him refuge in Ottawa. The weather was the same in Ukraine and Ottawa, which I experienced when I was in Ukraine with my brother and other rabbis about 19 years ago. We looked at each other, we said, now we know why Zeta never complained about the terrible weather in Ottawa, because all he knew was this terrible cold weather. But the cold did not hinder him as he built a new life. He learned English, married my grandmother, got work, and he did not take freedom for granted. He voted in every election and often would say to my grandmother, he'd say, Leica, we didn't escape communism and the fighting just to ignore the chance to vote. He was a proud member of his synagogue, Ma'asike Hadas in Ottawa. He was a gracious man who thrived on being a member of a robust family. He was also a volunteer in the larger community. He took his Jewish identity very seriously. He could not do all he may have wanted to do because he had responsibilities. He had two daughters, my mom and my aunt, which required him to work on Shabbat. But he observed the holidays were the center of our family's Jewish year as best he could. I have many beautiful memories of celebrating the holidays, Pesach especially, with him and my grandmother and my cousins. We waited for the middle to go check the score of the Montreal Canadiens Boston Bruins hockey game, but in between, we had a wonderful time. He had Jewish books in Hebrew. We only had English ones at our house. And I saw that like there was something that gave him strength. And he sang tunes all the time. So he's the one who taught me about Jewish study and Jewish music. He led the Seders in the same way every year, but it's not a negative because it was with joy. To him, it was an honor to beautify the moment with vocal flourishes. He did it under every wedding canopy, every chuppah under which he stood after having been invited to do one of the Sheva Brachot, the 7 blessings. And because he was a regular at synagogue, he was able to help me study for my bar mitzvah when my tutor was on summer vacation. I owe him a great deal. He readily showed me his love as he did to my brother and my 2 first cousins. He made me feel that I belonged and that I mattered. He was proud that later, towards the end of his life, I went to college and earned some Jewish studies degrees. The shame is that he didn't get to see my brother and I get ordained as rabbis on the same day. He loved reading and sharing nuggets from Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our fathers. It's Avot, it's really ancestors, but it is fathers. They didn't know about egalitarianism when they named that tractate of the Mishnah. They're just wisdom from the ages. Here were 2 of his favorite. Ezehu Chacham Halomed Mikol Adam. Who is wise? The one who learns from every person. Ezehu Gibor Hachovesh Et Yitzro. Who is strong? The one who can tamp down or conquer his or her evil inclination. When I read the eulogy that my cousin had forwarded, I felt sad because it reminded me how in 1990, our world had been emptied of this beautiful soul. His wife, my bubby, had died about 15 years before. My Zeta rose to the occasion. He learned how to boil an egg and how to defrost the food my aunt made and put in the freezer. He was able then to not work on Shabbat and go to the morning minyan, have a little shot of whiskey, and he'd say, shh, don't tell your mother. Because as he said, he had a little bit of sugar, which was a little bit of diabetes. But in the eulogy, our rabbi, Ruvain Bulka of blessed memory, said that though my Zeta was a mighty man, he was a mighty man despite being the slightest man who, as he wrote the eulogy, looked like he could have been blown over by the wind. Rabbi Bulka said that he called him Reb Menashe, like Reb Tevye, so he gave him the honorific title. He said, Reb Menashe taught us that being mighty has nothing to do with your physical prowess. He helped us learn, this is now me, not Rabbi Bulka, my Zeta helped us learn that your character is a key to living a valued and valuable life. My rabbi, Rabbi Bulka, then quoted Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch, who said, the word upon which my grandfather's name, Menashe, is based is Noshani, which is connected to the word for indebtedness, Noshe. As my rabbi said, it projects the connotation of being indebted and being grateful and to live accordingly. He wrote that Reb Menashe had a unique capacity to remember, to understand his roots, to remember kindnesses that had been done to him. He said that the women at Hillel Lodge, which is like the Jewish home in Reseda, the place where older Jewish people in Ottawa who wanted to be with others of their background, they had a complaint about him. He never complained. No matter how badly he felt, he said, I'm fine, you can come back later. Rabbi Bulka added there was never a thing that was done for him, however small, for which he did not give a heartfelt, warm, and keenly appreciated by the other side, long phrase, thank you. He regularly said thank you very much to everyone who helped him. Finally, the rabbi wrote that this was more than just being a gentleman. This was menschlichkeit of the highest order, and it was just his natural way of walking through the world. Obviously, I'm sharing this because my Zeta's way of living is instructive to all of us today. We all must show appreciation and lead with this appreciation for the kindnesses done for us by others. By living this way, my Zeta's grandson said, we will therefore be more thoroughly and regularly happy with our lives if we're looking out and seeing the good that people are doing for us And in the process, they'll be happier because people are being nice to them. By so doing, I know that we will enrich our lives, the lives of our family, our temple, and the larger community. I'm meeting with the mayor of La Mirada, whose name I need to memorize by next Friday when I meet with him, and I'm going to talk to him about the Kindness Project. My rabbi, Reuven Bulka, was seen as Canada's rabbi. And when he died at the first, I think they call it Remembrance Day, it's in October, they feted him. The Prime Minister of Canada said, "We thank Rabbi Bulka for establishing National Kindness Day." So I'm not going right to President Biden, he's kind of busy, but I'm going to start with the mayor of La Mirada and say, we need a day not only of a day of service, but just maybe doing what the Zilbersteins have done in their son's memory, which is clearly so profoundly sad, but let's just bring kindness up so that it doesn't mean our troubles won't exist, but then the balance will be evened out somehow. To conclude, given the tough acts that my Zeta experienced as a youth during the pogroms, and it really was poignant watching Fiddler on the Roof with my Bubby and Zadie, because that is kind of what they experienced. My Zeta would have been excused if he turned his back on Jewish practice. Instead, he doubled down on being involved in Jewish life and learning. Doing so helped him feel connected and supported by God and God's community. And it gave him a chance to give back. He was on the board of Jewish Free Loan and on the executive of his synagogue. He instinctively thought that the only way forward is to connect with others and in the process lift them up. His focus on gratitude and being kind is how he taught me to be a mensch. You know, there was once a baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds, Kevin Mensch, and the great Vince Scully felt obliged to explain what a mensch was. And all of us who are listening who know the word, we're saying, well, what's he going to say? It means a kind, upstanding citizen. My Zeta was patient and caring, and he was gentle. His life was a lesson. I'll go right to the end. It is always important to grow. So please help me and temple leadership by offering to help in the way that works best for you. When I first became a rabbi, the people that then were the older crowd said, Rabbi Muroff, you have to use guilt to get people to be involved in Jewish life. I said, AJ, it doesn't work that way. He said, no, it could work. With all due respect to the late Dr. AJ Crafton, I don't want to use guilt. I want to help you find the aspect of synagogue life and Jewish life and communal life that works for you. But I will say, though we'll hear an appeal on the high holidays, this is my appeal now, please come back to the temple soon. You can do Jewish things outside these four walls. We have some activities planned, and we'll be doing some of those outside these walls. Get involved in the way that works for you. And if you have a special area of expertise or a skill, like who knew? Do you know that Mike Kravitz can make bookcases? Like someone found that out. And now I have one and almost two beautiful bookcases. I know what some of you did for a living or what you do for a living, and I'm going to be calling you and saying, you know what? We need what you have to give. So together we can all be lifted higher in the process, do more for ourselves, our community, and the larger world. Shabbat Shalom. It is time to conclude the service because there are desserts waiting for us. Please rise for Aleinu, page 282. Aleinu. Aleinu l'shalem Adon hakol, atei gedulo yotzei reshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'arotzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, Aleinu k'chol amona. custom to give support to those who are reciting the Kaddish. That prayer is found on 294. At this time, I want to recall the individuals for whom Shivas and Shloshim are being observed, for whom Kaddish of the year is being said, and for whom Yartzeit is being observed. I have to ask politely that if I mispronounce a name, you put it on social media. Don't scream it out now. Or you can email me, Rabbi Muroff at tbolm.org. We are observing Shiva, I think it might be Shloshim by now, for John Emery, the niece of Mike and Cher Kritschmar. The Kaddish period for this community has the following names in this category: Maria Paulus Osborne, Ellen Hope Tews, Martin Becker, Nahama Fragoso, Allegra Gordon, Cyrus Cheney, May Salinger, Sally Kravitz, Myron Crystal, Molly Abraham, Phyllis Royce, Barbara Milton, Sandy Zwern, David Blochtine, Robbie Bush, Rita Manning, Jack Pivo, Harley Rockoff, and Lily Kramer. This week, Yartzeit is being observed for Louis Roman, Manuel S. Levine, Lillian Teifer, Rebecca Goldman, Richard Harlow, Harry, whose nickname was Bill Carmen, Ellie Eisgrau, Enid Malkin, Evelyn Levine, Abe Lieberman, Karen Klein, B. Kreloff, Stephen Fishman, Nathan Dezen, Carol Hilliard, I would have said Zur, maybe it's Zur, Becky K. Lofchi, Jacob Berman, thank you, Herman Streisand, Bruce L. Manning, and Mary Lewis. The mourner's Kaddish is page 294. If you're not saying Kaddish, please say Amen when I do to affirm and to give strength to those reciting. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, B'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah v'orach le'olam omei omaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitboar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'reichu le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiram b'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Aseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Please remain standing. I'm going to say Kiddush, even though the wine is over there. I'll go get it when I'm done, which is when you read it, eat it anyway, drink it anyway. Page 4, Vayer v'voker yom hashishi. It is the 6th day that ended, and then we have Shabbat. We don't usually chant this part in Hebrew. I'll read in English. Then the Hebrew, the heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the 7th day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the 7th day from all the work that God had done, and God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabar kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lamikra'ei kodesh, Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'yahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat. Thank you all for being here. It's lovely having Miranda Mower on the pulpit. Dr. Ray, as usual, it's great to have you. Great to have your wife, Cecilia, here. Thank you to everybody for being present and bringing your gusto. We need more gusto in the world. But in terms of the gusts of wind, it's not to be taken lightly. Do whatever you can. If you have questions, give someone a call. We're all happy to assist you. We conclude now with another beautiful song, Oseh Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
We invite you to put your arms around each other and sing along as this is our last song. Oh, say shalom bimah. Uya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oh, say shalom bimah. Uya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
I want to thank David and Chris for leading us this week. Oh. And I want to thank Joe not only for tonight, but because he's been an apprentice for David and for Chris. We thank him in advance for helping next week in the back when those two fellows without permission took vacation at the same time. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.